I'm in Bewdley in Worcestershire. Now here, the UK's stormy start hit hard as the flood swept through.
The River Severn, flowing for around 220 miles from the Welsh Cambrian Mountains through Shropshire, Worcestershire and Gloucestershire to the Bristol Channel. It's Britain's longest river.
Like many rivers in the UK, this is the lifeblood of the community for farms and for wildlife. But when the Severn floods, the consequences can be devastating.
I'm meeting the rescuers working together through yet another winter of extreme downpours.
Meanwhile, all I have to do is find some dry land. Although here, at the moment, that's harder than usual.
First stop on our journey is Bewdley in Worcestershire. Here, flooding is nothing new. It's the town they say has flooded 100 times in the last 100 years. But the floods are getting deeper and more frequent. Since 2006, flood barriers go up when weather warnings are in place. At 2.2 metres high, they protect up to 300 properties and hold most of the water back, but not all. On the other side of the river, temporary barriers are much lower, so there are plans to heighten them and help protect another 40 homes. There are so many floods along the Severn that the fire service are not the only team going to the rescue. I'm meeting Mark Fox, one of many volunteers who make up the Severn Area Rescue Association, or SARA for short.
What's it been like being you over the past few weeks?
It's been busy. We've had several shouts to assist with the welfare checks in Bewdley. We've had rescuing stranded people in Shrewsbury, up in Shropshire. In Tewkesbury, there was a swan caught in football netting in a flooded football pitch. Not just the human cost of flooding, there's the animals as well.
You say that so casually, you know, you've been looking after people in so many different ways, and you're all volunteers. Yeah,
100%. The whole organisation of SARA, which is a couple hundred people, entirely volunteer run. We do our own fundraising. We rely solely on donations from members of the public.
And it turns out Mark volunteers partly because he's personally been affected by the floods.
Up until a couple of years ago, I had a pub which has flooded many, many times in its 450-year pub history. However, when I was there, we had some devastating floods between 2019 and 2020. We had water inside for 3 weeks.
How much water then got into the pub? What sort of depth were you at?
At the worst, I was about 3.5 foot underwater. So we had flood barriers at the front door. Barriers don't stop water coming in, they just slow it down.
You're always going to be needed now, aren't you? I mean, do you see that you have a role, well, forever?
I've been in SARA on and off since I was 17 years old. I'm now a lot older than that. So it's something I'll continue to do as long as I'm in the area.
SARA volunteers James Sutherland and Sophie McLeod have arrived in their lifeboat to take me onto the Severn to visit some of the places where they helped out in the latest floods.
So over the past few weeks, what sorts of things have you been doing up and down the river?
So there have been welfare checks that are going on in the house behind us. So just checking on them. There's a couple of caravan sites, both upstream and downstream. So we've been going into them because they've been cut off for a couple of days, just making sure that the residents are happy.
So it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable, it's dangerous. Why do you do it?
It's something we all enjoy. It's working together as a team, doing something for the community, and that's kind of one of the key reasons I got involved, just wanted to give something back.
Sophie, what sort of rescues have you been involved with this time around?
So far this year, been in flood with flood rescues, welfare checks and Beale's Corner.
So how far did the water come up then on the barriers here?
The water came up to just over the bins and we're above that life buoy there. It is scary to think how much water was here on the day. Absolutely scary.
Despite the flood barriers, Beale's Corner is the part of Bewdley most prone to flooding.
We've heard from so many different people here in Bewdley today, all of whom have been caught up in dealing with flooding over the past few weeks. And the one thing that they have all told me, they're all planning for more and more floods over the next few years.